central bank decides what the current exchange rate to the US dollar is. So they control basically everything.
My mum was diagnosed with cancer. It was getting pretty desperate, and I was saying to my parents we should try the cannabis oil. And the only way you could buy that was via dark web marketplace. We went and bought some Bitcoin, and then we purchased the cannabis oil, but it was a bit too late for Mum, sadly.
The physician in a country that experienced very, very bad inflation. They didn't put a lot of emphasis on investing, and they mostly saved in cash, and a lot of that cash was unfortunately wiped out.
We're trying to create a new system where the people have control over the money and not some government or some shady group of businessmen.
Money doesn't work the same for everyone. And if you haven't had to think about that, then you're probably one of the lucky ones. The financial system most people around the world have access to today is completely broken. Inflation is eroding away your life's work. People are losing access to their bank accounts because of what they say. People's assets are getting seized. It feels like you're using someone else's money and not your own. I grew up in Venezuela, where I saw authoritarianism and hyperinflation destroy what we call home. But they couldn't take everything from us because of Bitcoin. We found it in 2015 when my brother started mining it, and soon after, the rest of my family was mining it too. Quickly, we were also helping others. But it wasn't too long until the regime set its crosshairs on Bitcoin miners. And that's when my family and I had no choice but to flee. But we were able to use our wealth and build a new life, all thanks to Bitcoin. I'm Mauricio Di Bartolomeo, co-founder and CSO of Ledn, and welcome to Season 2 of Because of Bitcoin. Join me as we uncover some of the most inspiring stories of how this technology is already changing people's lives for the better. You'll get to hear from freedom fighters and technologists alike. Our guests will shine a light on the wide-ranging use cases for Bitcoin today, from a humanitarian freedom tool to digital gold, and why we believe it's the future of money.
It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a not-get-poor-quick scheme. It's a preserving value, preserving your wealth for future generations. That's how it's changed my life.
I was just sold on Bitcoin being just this core piece of the human rights struggle.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Ledn check-in. I'm your host, Andrew Rapsey, and I'd like to introduce Adam Reeds, our co-founder and CEO, Maurizio Di Bartolomeo, our co-founder and CSO, and of course, John Glover, our Chief Investment Officer. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you guys?
Doing great. Thanks, Andrew. Great to see everybody.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Couldn't be better.
Well, it's been a very, very eventful Q1, and obviously there's some big events coming up in terms of the halving being under 2 weeks away. So we thought, what better time to re-engage with our community and talk to them, give them an update on what we've been up to, and most importantly, hear from and answer their questions. So this is kind of the run of show for today. So we're going to open up with some opening remarks from Adam. Maurizio, it'd be great if you could give an update on our Celsius refinancing program. And then John, I know folks are interested in talking about interest rates and kind of what you're seeing in the market. And then we'll go to the Q&A. I want to thank everyone who pre-submitted questions. We'll get to those first. And I want to remind everyone that you can submit questions live via the comment section on X or YouTube. And we'll try to get to the live questions as well after we get through the pre-submitted ones. So with that, Adam, how about I turn it over to you? And why don't you tell the people what we've been up to?
Of course. Yeah, thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. And of course, want to welcome our new CASA clients from the partnership that we announced a few weeks back. Great to see some new introductions to the platform, and also the Celsius clients as well. We're very proud of to be able to welcome you to Ledn. And Mauricio will share, obviously, an update in a second on just how much volume we've been doing that. And of course, all the work that the team has been doing to bring all of you new people on. So thanks a lot for your trust in our business, and look forward to building our products with you. I'd say, this quarter has been pretty incredible for Ledn. So rounding out March was the best month we've ever had in the history of the business. We did almost 50% more loans in the month of March than we did in any other month in Ledn's history. So for those that think lending is dead after the crisis of 2022, we beg to differ. We're, of course, proud to be leading in this category, and of course, very thankful for your trust in Ledn, and looking forward to continue to innovate specifically in this. And I think that's exactly how we're feeling today. I think coming out of the last 18 months, we have the privilege to lead in this category, and we've been focusing on making sure we are innovating on our loan products. So expect us to do more in this lane of making our loans even better this year, and adding incremental features that make our products even easier to use. Our favorite saying at Ledn is the best restaurants have the smallest menu, and that means we really, really like to keep things simple on how we offer our products. And so you won't see us go in vast different directions. We are staying very laser focused on making sure our core products are really easy, simple to use. You have even more transparency and optionality in understanding our products, and making sure that everything that you do is super clear. So and with that, obviously we'll get into a lot more information in the Q&A, and happy to expand there. But Mauricio, why don't you update on our numbers?
Definitely. So happy to, hi everybody. Thanks for joining us again, and great to be here pre-halving check-in. I want to chat a little bit about Celsius. As you know, we've been working to help Celsius borrowers refinance their loans out of bankruptcy. We've been doing this since probably September of last year, and it's been quite a process. And I know that the Celsius people will be the first ones to say that they've been through a lot. And because of that, we put a lot of thought and love into building a great experience for them to basically come from Celsius into Ledn. And the solution that we built, it was all tech enabled. Celsius clients were able to very easily input their Celsius loan IDs and basically transfer everything they had over to Ledn, which has resulted in us being able to refinance over 473 loans, which represents over $38.6 million worth of volume in a matter of weeks. And the results and the sort of testimonies from the Celsius clients speak for themselves. We're incredibly thankful and grateful for you to have chosen to come to Ledn after everything you've been through. And to us, it just signals that we've got to keep doing the right things and building and making the best loan product out there. So thank you all. Welcome home, as I like to say. And this is the start, hopefully, of something really great. And this halving will hopefully be the same as the previous ones, and it will be the start of a beautiful journey together.
Great. Thanks, Mal. And I also want to echo welcome home to all of our new Celsius clients. John, do you want to talk a little bit about what's going on with interest rates?
Sure, happy to. I sit in an interesting position because while Mao spends his time helping people to take loans from Ledn, I spend my time getting the funding for those loans. And so the borrows that we need to do to provide the US dollars that people are borrowing from us. So I see what's going on in the marketplace, and it's an interesting dichotomy for someone who's not aware of what's going on in this space. The traditional banks are not lending into the crypto space because the regulators don't really allow them to recognize digital assets as proper collateral. So as a result, all of the financing that's coming into the space is from what we call kind of private credit or other sources that are in the crypto environment already. So we've seen the demand associated with the ETFs in the US drive up the hunt for dollars, and that's driven up rates at the same time. So we've seen rates have to go up to our borrowers. We always try and keep those as low as we can, while still making a positive net interest margin that allows Ledn to stay in business and provide profitability to our investors. So we've had to drive up those rates as the rates that we pay have gone up higher as well. We are diversifying away from some of the more traditional players in this space and finding new sources of dollar assets. And we're having a lot of success with that. And we believe that rates are going to be coming down in the future because of that. But right now, as I said, the drive to get dollars in the market from ETF providers, and even in traditional finance, there's a dearth of dollars. So people are looking for dollars everywhere, and that's driven rates higher. On the Bitcoin and ETH side, we've seen rates actually go down on the ETH side because ETH rates are very connected to staking rates, staking yields, and somewhere in the region of 28% of all ETH is now being staked. And so all of those assets moving into the staking world have driven staking yields down. They were previously 5.5% about 3-4 months ago. They're now sub 4%. So that's driven those rates down, and that impacts the rates that we're able to pay on our stablecoin accounts, or sorry, on our ETH and Bitcoin accounts. And the same thing is true for Bitcoin. There's a lot of Bitcoin looking for yield, and that's kept rates a little bit lower, although you've seen that we've raised our Bitcoin rates recently. Again, we want to make sure that we're able to make a positive net interest margin, but something that's reasonable as well. So we're seeing a little bit of a difference between coin rates and stable coin rates, but those are starting to settle down a little bit.
Great, thanks. I think that's a perfect intro into our Q&A segment, because I want to thank everyone who pre-submitted questions over the last week. And actually, John, the first question flows nicely from what you were just talking about. So this user asked, why are Ledn interest rates for BTC and ETH growth accounts significantly lower than its competitor Nexo? And will that be changed in the near future?
Yeah, it's a good question, and we often get asked how our rates compare to others. And while we do want to make sure we're competitive in the marketplace, we're much more concerned about making sure that our clients' assets are safe. And so the way that we generate yield for our BTC and our ETH growth accounts is through institutional lending of those assets. We make sure that we're only lending to the absolute top credit quality institutions in the marketplace. And we could actually earn higher yield if we go out the risk curve further, and then we could pay more. But we don't think that's a safe thing for our clients' assets to be involved in. I would advise people to look back and see what happened back in 2022 and before, when a lot of our competitors were paying much, much higher rates than we were. And we couldn't even understand how they were paying those rates. But clearly it was because they were taking much greater risks from a credit perspective. And now a lot of those companies are gone, and a lot of our clients' assets or their clients' assets are tied up in bankruptcy proceedings. So while I understand that everybody wants to earn as much as they can from their assets, I would just urge you to really make sure you understand how those rates are being driven, and to make sure that your assets are being safe. So we believe the rates we're paying are very, very reasonable rates for the security of the assets that you have with us, because we're only lending to the highest credit quality institutions in the market.
Great, thanks, John. Just kind of going off of what you were talking about in the terms of the security of client assets. So this next client was asking about, does Ledn offer an extra layer of insurance for a fee to clients who would be interested in such? Mao, did you want to take this one?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about this. Actually, I've had this question come up with clients here and there. And the deposit insurance that most people are familiar with is the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or the Canadian Deposit Insurance Corporation. And they are effectively government programs that have been built to backstop the banks and to provide a deposit guarantee on the federally regulated banks. The reason they can do this is because they are insuring fiat currency deposits, and they can print these additional fiats. Any fiat that is lost by the banks, they could just print it again by devaluing everyone else's fiat and give it to the bank, therefore ensuring the deposit. As we all know, there is no way to print digital assets. We can't print more Bitcoin, we can't print more Ethereum, and that is really a large part of the appeal of these assets, that they cannot be manipulated. Conversely, because of that same reason, you cannot print additional Bitcoin to backstop or guarantee any type of deposit. So the short answer to the question is, there is no insurance body or government program to insure deposits or guarantee deposits. And that's largely a big reason why we're so focused on risk management and transparency.
Great, thanks a lot, Mal. Adam, maybe we'll kick this next one to you. It's about custodied loans, our new custodied loan product. So, what happens in a bankruptcy case of Ledn to the new custodied loans? Are they legally protected? And if not, are they treated differently from other, in brackets, our standard loan products?
Sure, happy to talk through that. So I think when you think about what we attempted to do in our product mix was really give clients optionality as well as be super clear on what clients are and are not exposed to as far as risks when they're dealing with the product. So specifically, the idea with the custody loan product was to provide an option for clients to not have their Bitcoin collateral that they're posting to their loans or their ETH collateral that they're posting to their loans relent out for the purpose of generating interest. This means that the rate of interest that the client pays Ledn is higher on the custody loan than it is on the standard loan because it's not relent. We want to be really clear on what risks there are and what risks there aren't. So the risk that there is not with the custody loan is the risk of a client defaulting on repaying that collateral. But however, there are risks that exist. For example, there's a risk of hack if the custody that the Bitcoin is sitting in is compromised. But of course, we diligence that. We make sure that we're dealing with institutions that have very strong risk management processes, are experienced with how they hold the collateral. So when you're dealing with a custody loan, the Bitcoin sits in two places. It's either in cold storage in custody, or it's with a qualified bank that we may be borrowing from. So that's how we deal about it. But again, specifically making sure I address the question regarding bankruptcy, it is facing a legal entity. If there was a risk of or an issue with a hack or other types of compromise, that entity could go into bankruptcy. So because of the fact that we are isolating out the majority of the risks, which we believe to be credit risk with other counterparties, that's where we believe it to be very secure. But of course, we will never say that nothing can happen because, of course, we don't control every single variable that exists on the planet. So I think people always feel better when you say something can happen and something can always happen. And we'll be clear about that there is risk with anything that you're dealing with.
Appreciate that, Adam. John, for you, what is the least number of counterparties you lend BTC to in order to reduce risk through diversification?
Yeah, that's a good question. Diversification is obviously really, really important in any risk management protocol because you want to make sure you're not exposing yourself to concentration risk with any one client or institution. In TradFi, with all the studies that have been done on this over time, the estimate is that the diversification benefits deteriorate after about 8 to 15 institutions or counterparties, depending on the business that you're in. Ledn has diligenced over 100 institutions to determine whether we're going to lend to them. We have only approved 15 or 16 of those institutions, and currently we don't have loans out to all those institutions, but we've approved those. And we believe that diversification is giving us the risk reduction benefits that we're looking for. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Thanks, John. I'm sensing a theme with some of these questions. So, Adam, I think we'll give this next one to you. So, what impact did the Alameda meltdown have on Ledn's long-term business roadmap, and will funds likely be recovered from Alameda?
Yeah, of course, happy to address that. And so I think first off, just want to restate that during the Alameda and FTX situation, as well as the other events, there was unfortunately many situations that year. Ledn never paused withdrawals, and we never lost a Satoshi or a cent of any client assets. So very proud to maintain a very clean track record when it came to how we deal and protect client assets. After that, I would say the situation, although unfortunate for many of our competitors, did provide an opportunity for Ledn to focus even harder on the lending opportunity ahead of us. So if you thought about some of our other competitors that were kind of migrating into exchanges or other types of products, or maybe into custody or other things like that as well, we remained even more focused on the lending category after that. So I would say it further focused our roadmap and reduce some of the ancillary things that we were starting to work on, and made us kind of kind of jig and say, nope, there's a huge opportunity ahead of us. Let's make sure that we are and continue to be the leader in the lending category. And then the second part of that, will funds likely be recovered from Alameda? So Ledn did make a decision to sell our claim through the piece. That was a thought about, what is the time period to wait years, and how do we think about it? That we always like running a very simple business, and it made sense for us. We got an attractive opportunity to sell the claim at a point in time. So we did that. We've moved on. There's no further impact to our business, and it's well behind us.
Great. You talked a little bit about what a record quarter Q1 is, but obviously clients want to know, can Ledn's financial situation be considered stable?
Yeah, of course. We're proud to be a profitable business. So I think, once you're profitable, you don't have to worry about runway or other types of, or continuing to seek, venture financing to continue to operate the business. So yeah, we're a stable business, a good balance sheet, and again, monthly cash flow that is in the green. So proud to be in that position, and that's allowing us again to just stay laser focused on the mission we're on.
Great news. Great news. Next couple of questions here are about potential roadmap ideas. So, Adam, maybe we'll start with you, but others feel free to chime in. So is there still a plan for a custodied B2X? So we talked a lot about custodied loans earlier. Right now, the custodied B2X is not available. This client wants to know if we plan on making it available.
Sure. I would say nobody's more passionate at Ledn than trying to get their idea on our roadmap. And obviously their idea is not typically theirs. It's a request they've had from a Ledn client. So this is definitely one that's high up on the list, although I can't make any promises yet on what we're at the timing we're going to roll it out. And then it's definitely something that we're focused on. If you think about the features that we do have across different trade and different features that are available in different loans, obviously we want to make sure that's consistent across all of our assets and different product mix, but it's just getting that in the right order to make sure it benefits the most clients possible.
Okay, and then the next question, kind of similar vein. I'm going to assume the answer is similar. Is there a plan to have a Bitcoin-backed loan which provides funding in USDT? So right now, clients can get their funding in local fiat currency or USDC.
Yeah, that's right. So just to remind everybody, you can take a loan in US dollars. You can also put a request to have the loan dispersed in your local currency, although the loan is always denominated in US dollars. You can take it in USDC, and we would like to add the ability to take it in USDT as well. So another thing that's on the roadmap. Unfortunately, don't have a firm date today, but something that you'll see from Ledn later on.
Cool. Before we get into the Spanish section, which Maurizio will take over for, I noticed that there are some live comments that are kind of in the similar vein. So I might kick it over to X, where Luis is asking if there are any plans for locked staking with higher APYs. It's kind of similar in terms of what's on our roadmap. But Adam, did you want to talk about that, John?
Yeah, I'll actually throw that ball to John.
Yeah.
Sure. So right now we're not offering a staking product to our clients, although we do have relationships with some staking partners in the marketplace. We're still measuring to see what the demand is because there's technology that needs to be built around that in order to offer that staking service to our clients. So it's more of a watch this space, Luis, because I'm not sure of the timing on that, but it is something we're considering.
Awesome. And then there's another question from Marco, and I think it's about someone wanting to refinance like a standard loan into a custodied loan. Maurizio, do you want to answer that one?
Yes, happy to take that one, Marco. Thank you for the question. The answer to your question is yes, you can refinance a standard loan into a custodied loan. We ask that you please contact our team of support at Ledn.io to help you process that. It's not a one-click refinancing. You'll have to apply for a custody loan in the amount of the standard loan that is currently outstanding. So we're happy to walk you through that process and make that transition, help you make that transition. So yes, please contact support at Ledn.io if anyone's listening and is interested in doing so.
Awesome. All right, and now it's the much-awaited Spanish section. So we've got some Spanish questions, which I'm not even going to attempt to ask. So Mal, I'll let you kind of ask, answer in Spanish, and then maybe just give a brief TLDR in English as well, just for the rest of the audience. And then again, encourage people while Mao's going through the Spanish questions, please leave your comments and questions live in X or YouTube, and we'll get to them, and we'll try and get to them. Great. Okay, so Maurizio, here's the first one.
Okay. ¿Por qué sigue apareciendo que puedo ganar un 0% en mi cuenta transaccional, ya que en esta cuenta no tiene sentido que diga eso, puesto que la cuenta de ahorro está para ganar intereses? I'll answer first in Spanish and I'll do the English summary. La respuesta es que, dado a que en Ledn teníamos la cuenta de ahorros de crecimiento, la nueva cuenta de crecimientos, y no existía una cuenta transaccional antes, nuestros clientes estaban acostumbrados a enviar depósitos a Ledn y que automáticamente estos depósitos estuvieran ganando intereses. Obviamente, cuando se crea la cuenta transaccional, que se vuelve el punto base o el punto de partida en la plataforma de Ledn, cuando haces un depósito cae en la cuenta transaccional, la cual no tiene rendimiento. Y la aclaración, en verdad, que decimos que la cuenta no genera ningún tipo de rendimiento es para que las personas que están depositando esta cuenta no se confundan y piensen que por haberla depositado en la cuenta transaccional van a empezar a devengar intereses y hacer un recordatorio que hay que transferir los fondos a la cuenta de crecimiento donde en verdad pueden ganar intereses. Quick summary in English, or the translation is, why is there a 0% APY shown in my transactional account since they won't earn any yield? That account should not have any APRs displayed on it, since the one that pays you the interest is the growth account. And what I'm clarifying to the client is that at Ledn, previously there used to be just the growth account, or what was used to be our savings account, and clients were used to depositing assets into that account and starting earning interest automatically. So what we wanted to make very clear is that now when you're depositing assets into the transaction account, there is no automatic earning of interest. You have to actually move it into the growth account. And that's why we want to make it very clear that while it's there, it's not earning anything, in case the people that were used to the previous model, just to prevent them from any confusion.
Yeah, definitely want to give our clients control over their assets. So we wanted to make them make that conscious decision to opt into yield. So there you go. All right, next one. I think it was from the same client. It was just too long to fit on the screen. So here you go, Mal.
Otra pregunta que tengo es si en algún momento pondréis en el frontend el precio promedio de compra y venta de nuestros activos digitales. Gracias por todo. Espero seguir creciendo. Love the hashtag from Ledn. So I'll say it in English after. La pregunta es si ponemos el precio promedio de compra de tus activos en la plataforma de Ledn. En verdad no es muy clara la pregunta, porque si entiendo bien, quieres que pongamos el precio promedio de tus activos, pero nosotros solo tenemos la información de las transacciones que has realizado dentro de Ledn. En el estado de cuenta de la cuenta transaccional te va a salir un resumen de todas las transacciones que has hecho dentro de Ledn, y ahí podrías calcular el precio promedio de tus activos digitales que se han comprado y vendido dentro de Ledn. Lo que no tenemos en Ledn es el costo promedio, digamos, si hiciste una compra fuera de la plataforma. No sabemos cuánto te costó ese Bitcoin o cuánto lo vendiste en otras partes de tu portafolio. Por ende, no te podemos dar un precio promedio para ti como portafolio personal, pero te podemos dar un precio promedio de todo lo que se ha hecho dentro de Ledn, y eso lo puedes encontrar en el estado de cuenta que ves arriba a la mano derecha de tu dashboard. To summarize it in English, the question is, will you or do you plan to put the average purchase price of our digital assets on your front end? And to clarify the question, at Ledn, you can see all of the precise purchase and sale price of all transactions that you've done within Ledn. You can do so by going into your account statement on the top right corner of your dashboard. Now, what we can't show you is your average purchase prices of anything that was bought or sold outside of Ledn, whether that was before you brought them in or in different parts of your portfolio. So we can't show you an average price on a portfolio basis for you, but we can show you the precise numbers of every transaction that you did within Ledn, and you can get that in the statements.
Okay, anyone want to try their Spanish other than Mal for this last one, or we'll give this last one to Mal.
El de Adam es muy bueno.
Gracias.
Me pregunta si los rendimientos de BTC y Ethereum se han de declarar. So, I'll do the answer first. Me pregunta si los rendimientos de Bitcoin y Ethereum se han de declarar. La respuesta es que es una pregunta que deberías mejor hacerle a tu contador o a un profesional que te ayuda a declarar estos impuestos en tu jurisdicción, dado a que diferentes países o jurisdicciones tratan diferentes ingresos de manera o graban o tienen que tributar de manera diferente. Entonces, la mejor solución sería llevarle esta pregunta a tu contador, ya que no te podemos dar tax advice, no te podemos indicar cómo hacer estas transiciones porque esto debe venir de tu contador. Así que te recomiendo que lo consultes con el contador y certifiques o verifiques si en tu jurisdicción hay que declarar estos ingresos o estos rendimientos, perdón, y cómo es la mejor manera de hacerlo. And just briefly in English, the question is, I wonder if I have to declare my Bitcoin and Ethereum yield. It just says, I'm assuming he refers to yield payments. And the answer is, this is not tax advice, but the best thing to do would be to take this question to your tax professional, as different jurisdictions treat different types of income in a different way and they tax it in a different way. So the best thing to do would be to take this to a tax professional in your local jurisdiction to make sure you don't make any mistakes when filling up your tax declaration for this year or last year.
And thank you, Luis, for all of the engagement and questions. Appreciate that. And it looks like there aren't any additional comments or questions. I'm just checking the feeds right now. So with that, we may move to the last part, which is kind of closing remarks. So maybe I'll turn it over to John to kick it off in terms of closing remarks. Any great TA that you want to share with the people out there?
Sure. So for anyone who follows me on Twitter or the Ledn Twitter space, we put out a technical analysis on a weekly basis, which is purely my opinion, and it's my evaluation of the market charts and what I think is going to happen. It doesn't take into account what is happening in the marketplace, like the halving that's coming up. So it's not a forecast based on that. It's really a forecast based on historical price patterns, and technical analysis says that price patterns repeat over time, and you can start to gather some information from there and predict what's going to happen next. And those chart patterns are saying that over the next kind of 3 to 6 months, Bitcoin is likely going to go somewhere between $85,000 and $100,000. There could be a correction before that happens, down as low as like 52,000, which is what would get us up to the 85 to 88,000, or we could go higher before a correction, which would get us up towards that 95 to 100,000. Again, that's not investment advice. That's just what the charts are telling me based on my analysis, and I've been looking at this chart analysis for the last 30 years. So I use it all the time myself, but that's just my prediction.
Awesome. Thank you for not giving our lawyers a heart attack by mentioning that disclaimer a few times. I'm sure they're very, very much appreciative of that. But yeah, definitely check out his TA every Friday on our X account. No longer Twitter, John. No longer Twitter. And then we'll turn it over to Mao. Mao, you're doing some traveling this weekend, right?
I am. By the way, if you're not following John on Twitter or X, what are you doing? Go follow John and go follow Ledn to get the TAs, because he's been on fire. Yes, Andrew, you're right. I'm traveling. I'm heading over to BitBlock Boom this week. Actually, on Thursday, I'm flying in. I'm there to meet a lot of the Celsius clients. If you're there, if you're any type of client, if you're an existing client, Celsius client, if you want to be a client, I'll be there. Come find me, and we'd love to hang out. I also excited the halving is coming. I'm sure everyone listening or watching here is very excited. So we have some pretty cool content coming up on that front as well. So I'm excited to see everybody at this Bitcoin celebration this Thursday, and have a big celebration next week with the halving. Oh, and we have some really great podcast episodes coming, in particular lining up around the halving too. So yeah, wanted to shout that out as well.
Great, and we should end it how it started. So Adam, it's been a tremendous quarter. Maybe you can give the people a sneak peek on what's to come and how you're thinking about the business moving forward.
Of course. So yeah, definitely releasing our next proof of reserves over the next, I think 10 days it'll be coming out. So I know the team's been working hard to get that report out. So excited to continue on that because it's important to our mission on transparency, making sure we're providing up-to-date information on the platform. And I think the rest of the year, there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes to make sure that we can continue to offer our loans. If you think about just what's happened over the last few years and with the demise of the crypto-friendly banks in the US and everything else, and John was talking about this at the beginning of the conversation, there's a whole bunch of work that we do to make sure that we can continue to fund loans and provide the best terms we can. So that's a big mission that we're on. We're also a regulated business in the Cayman Islands, so we want to make sure that we remain a compliant company and continue to basically offer all of our products in of course, a secure and compliant way. So there's a lot of teams that you may not interact with as much, but do a lot of work behind the scenes at Ledn. So just want to make sure to give them a shout out on this as well. You just interacted with the client-facing team, but there's a lot of teams obviously providing all the building blocks that make sure we can offer our loans. So I want to thank them today. Thank, of course, all of our clients that joined us, and look for more and more better ways to take a loan with Ledn. And any suggestions you have, of course, feel free to contact support@ledn.io. We always love to hear from you. And again, everything on our roadmap is pretty much because a client has asked for it or we think they need it, and we go out and ask. So looking forward to continue to deliver on exactly that mission. And there's no slowing down. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Awesome. That's a perfect place to end it. Happy having everyone. And again, we look forward to hearing from you. Our socials are always open. Support@ledn.io is a great way to reach us if you're a client and have a question. And we're so honored for all of the new clients that have joined us through Celsius or the CAS referral program, or just found us and they needed our help taking out a loan. It's been a tremendous quarter, and we think the best is yet to come. So happy having everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks. Bye.
We started the company to solve our own problem. And I think that's something that cannot be stressed enough, because a lot of innovation in this space is just solutions looking for a problem.
The origination and the development of Ledn came out through conversations that I had with Mauricio about the different experiences we had growing up with money.
I'm from Venezuela, and the way I got into Bitcoin was not because I found it, but my family found it first. So in my lifetime, there's been 14 zeros wiped out of my currency. That's the number of zeros in a trillion. All of my friends were leaving the country and with really depressed faces, except for my brother. I went to ask him what he was doing with a lot of skepticism. He says, I'm mining Bitcoin. I asked him to show me. He made me give him my address to get some money into my bank account. Money hits my bank account. In the context of not being able to buy dollars, non-perishables, nothing. And at that point, when I saw how Bitcoin could transact in that hostile of an environment, that's when all the light bulbs went off.
When Mauricio and I first decided to set up a Bitcoin mine in Canada, at that time, the only choice we had was to sell Bitcoin and convert it to dollars to be able to pay these mining expenses. Banks didn't even have comfort in servicing basic bank account services for Bitcoin, let alone offering a loan. So a situation where there was not enough capital that wanted to invest in Bitcoin mining, and lots of people that wanted to hold Bitcoin. And so the idea of financing a Bitcoin mining operation was pretty interesting. We iterated a lot through many conversations and launched Canada's first Bitcoin-backed loan in 2018. And then through that, realized that we had something that, again, Bitcoin is a global asset. So why were we limiting it to Canada? There were people in other regions of the world who it was equally or arguably far more useful for. And then we didn't need to limit it to mining.
Because of our experiences, our collective experiences, the conviction in what we do is unshakable. Because there's so much of an immigrant base within Ledn, we all had to escape the consequences of broken money. I think that if you combine all of these things together, you get to this unshakable force, which is, I think, the fire that essentially burns why we want to do this so badly. Where I think Ledn plays a very key role is by connecting your digital assets into your real world experience and making that digital asset enhance your day-to-day life, wanting to buy a house, wanting to buy a car, wanting to pay for groceries. The more we can bridge your digital wealth and convert that into a real life experience or an enhancement to your day-to-day, that's where I think we're going to want to play.
What it means to me is helping as many people as we can and equalizing financial services across the world.